Are you ready to peek into the deck of one of Duelist Kingdom's creepiest duelists? You know Bonz as the zombie-obsessed underling of Bandit Keith, the ghoul-like duelist who terrified Joey with his bone-chilling monsters. But beyond the rotting surface lies a deck filled with unsettling details, strange choices, and hidden connections that makes Bonz far more than just comic relief. In the manga and anime, Bonz was the embodiment of death on the dueling field, summoning an army of the undead to overwhelm opponents, with cards that symbolize decay, trickery, and fear. A deck burning with bizarre trivia and chilling facts that cement it as one of the strangest and most memorable in the Duelist Kingdom arc. Today, we're about to unearth 30 terrifying facts about Bonz's Duelist Kingdom deck. Armored Zombie is the zombie counterpart of the monster Zanki, revived in the anime and manga by the card Call of the Haunted. But it wasn't alone, as both Dragon Zombie and Clown Zombie were also zombie counterparts of Bonz's cards brought back from the grave in the same manner. Now, the interesting detail here is that all three of these monsters have had their levels downgraded by 2 in their undead form compared to their counterparts. Interestingly, despite being called an armored zombie, the monster actually has 0 defense points. However, the cool detail here is that Armored Zombie was the first monster printed in the OCG with 0 defense when it came out in 1999's Volume 5 set as a common card. A cool detail about this card in the anime and manga is that it doesn't actually exist as a physical card. Instead, it's just a counterpart Zanki affected by the effect of Call of the Haunted. However, later in the anime, we do see Armored Zombie shown as a normal monster card, which is a reflection on its release in the real-life card game. Let's compare the Clown Zombie card we all know with the Bandai version many are unfamiliar with. Bandai held the rights for Yu-Gi-Oh! For a short while before Konami and released some interesting versions of the cards we all know and love, some with some pretty interesting differences. First of all, let's look at the stats. The Konami Clown Zombie is a level 2 zombie type monster with 1350 attack and 0 defense, whereas the Bandai version is a level 3 fiend type with 1800 attack and 0 defense. The other major difference is of course its artwork. The Bandai version has a completely different pink colour scheme and pose. In fact, the Bandai artwork reminds me of the Gamorreans from Star Wars, if they were pink of course. One thing I always find really fun is looking at Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards' original Japanese names and how they differ to the ones that we got. In the case of Clown Zombie, its Japanese name is Mada Sakasu Zombie, which when translated in English reads as Murder Circus Zombie, which is much darker than what we got, right? Clown Zombie came out in the OCG in 2000's Volume 7 set as a common card. We wouldn't get it in the TCG until 2005's Tournament Pack 6 as a common card, along with some other awesome cards such as Toon Cannon Soldier, Royal Decree, and Spear Dragon. Clown Zombie would also later come out in 2019's Speed Duel Arena of Lost Souls, again as a common card. Did you know that Crawling Dragon was the first Earth Dragon monster ever released? It came out in the OCG's Volume 4 set in 1999 and came out in the TCG in 2002's Metal Raiders. The Crawling Dragon itself can be seen in the card artwork of the anime-only spell card, Card of Reversal from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. In the Yu-Gi-Oh! Video game The Falsebound Kingdom, Crawling Dragon is one of the only monsters, perhaps the only monster that never appears in the opponent's marshals. In The Falsebound Kingdom, a marshal is a type of humanoid character who commands teams of monsters in battle, whether they are actual human or programs from the kingdom. Marshals have a variety of stats that can influence the performance of their monsters. They gain experience if their team defeats an opposing team in battle, and can level up to improve their stats. Also, certain marshals can possess unique abilities that affect their team. Let's look at the difference between Dragon Zombie's Bandai release and the Konami card that we're all familiar with. So the Bandai version is a level 5 Fiend type with 2400 attack and 400 defense, whereas the Konami card is a level 3 Zombie type with 1600 attack and 0 defense. The artwork is also completely different, as the Bandai version has more of a black theme to it compared to the purple version we all know. It does keep the rotting flesh theme, which gives it that intimidating feel. Sticking with the topic of artwork, in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters 1 and 2 video games, Dragon Zombie has different artwork. In the video games, its pose is completely different, but the most noticeable difference is that it's bright pink. Dragon Zombie came out in the OCG in 1999's Booster 5 set as a common card. It would remain an anime-only card for us in the West up until 2013, when it was printed as a common card in Legendary Collection 4 Joey's World Mega Pack, a set that featured cards played by Joey as well as cards played by some of his most famous opponents in the series. The snake hair is based on Medusa from Greek mythology. Medusa had living snakes for hair and could turn people to stone with her gaze. She was once a beautiful woman who was cursed by the goddess Athena after she was violated by Poseidon. Once turned into this vicious creature, Medusa was eventually beheaded by Perseus, who used Athena's shield as a mirror to avoid her deathly stare. The head of Medusa, with its petrifying power, was put on Athena's shield as a symbol of protection against evil. The card's Japanese name, Medusa no Bore, also gives away that it is based on Medusa, as it translates to read Medusa's Ghost. Did you know that in 3D Yu-Gi-Oh! Video games such as Forbidden Memories, the snake hair appears to have the lower body of a snake, which is different from its appearance in the anime? Another interesting video game detail about the snake hair is that, again in the game Forbidden Memories, it can't be used to fusion summon female monsters. The snake hair herself can be seen in the card artwork of the anime-only trap card Magic Reflection Armor Metal Plus from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Did you know that Zanki is the only one of the 3 zombie counterpart cards played by Bonz in the anime that has never been released in the TCG? Now, it did come out in the OCG in 2000's Volume 7 set, but unlike Crawling Dragon and Crass Clown, it has never been printed internationally. Zanki's Japanese name is pretty cool, and if you're an anime fan, I think you'll get a kick out of this one. Its Japanese name is Yoroi Musha Zanki, which when translated reads as Demon Slayer, the Armored Warrior. Though it was never printed in the TCG, Zanki's OCG and anime artwork is completely different from the artwork it has in the manga. Zanki's manga card art shows a full body pose of the monster covered in a Super Saiyan-like aura with its eyes covered in shadow. Crass Clown's effect is that if it is changed from attack position from defense position, you can target one monster your opponent controls and return it to their hand. What's interesting is that this effect is the opposite of another clown monster called Dream Clown. With Dream Clown, if it is changed from attack position to face-up defense position, you can target one monster your opponent controls and destroy that target. Don't know about you, but it sounds like a lot of clowning around to me. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a much darker series than we remember as kids, and Crass Clown's Japanese name is further evidence of this. Its Japanese name, Madasakasu, when translated, means murder circus. Crass Clown's TCG and anime card artwork is much different from the one it had in the manga. Both are terrifying, of course, but the way it's looking at you face on in the manga just adds that extra level of creep factor for me personally. Now, the artwork that it has in the TCG and anime is taken from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist manga. It is taken from the panel in chapter 30 when it is summoned to the field. Pumpking, King of Ghosts is based off the Jack-o'-lantern. A jack-o'-lantern is a hollowed out pumpkin or other root vegetable with a face carved on it and lighted by a candle or LED light that we all know as a popular Halloween decoration. The tradition originates from a 17th century Irish folktale about Stingy Jack, a trickster cursed to travel the earth with a glowing coal in a carved out turnip. Originally, carving vegetables with terrifying faces was a technique to fend off spirits and is now a popular holiday tradition. Did you know that it is implied that the Pumpkin King of Ghosts is a dad? That's right, yeah. It's said that it is the father of Pump Princess, the Princess of Ghosts. And there's no real surprise when you look at the similar names, appearances, and effects, of course. Now, Pumpkin King of Ghosts also has a relation to the card Jacko Bolan, but we don't know if he's a dad to him or a brother or whatever. Here's something interesting for you. Did you know that the effect of this card in the anime and manga is identical to that of the Castle of Dark Illusions in the TCG? Both boost the attack and defense of zombie-type monsters. This is pretty random if you ask me, because the Castle of the Dark Illusions is associated with Panic, and Panic and Bonz have no connection. Especially when you add in the detail that Panic played Fiend-type monsters while Bonz used zombies. But anyway, there's more. In the TCG, Pumpkin King of Ghosts effect only lasts for 4 turns, which is interesting because this was the same amount of turns Bonz used its effect for in the anime. Stop Defense has a counterpart in Block Attack and also a retrained anime-only version called Negate Defense. The card artwork for Stop Defense is completely different from its manga artwork. In the manga, it's a cross through a card in defense position, whereas in the TCG and anime, its artwork features a cross through a soldier holding a shield. Stop Defense's Japanese name is Shubi Fuji, which when translated reads as Defense Ceiling. Did you know that in episode 17 of Yu-Gi-Oh! As well as in the manga, Call of the Haunted was used as a spell card by Bonz. However, the base of the card was coloured the same purplish colour as any other trap card, rather than green. Thus it still seemed to be a trap, despite Bonz's claim that it was a magical spell card. Now, in both mediums, the card had a distinct effect, where it could summon as many monsters from your graveyard and change their types to zombie. When it was officially printed for the TCG, the effect was modified to only being able to special summon one monster and removing the section where its type was changed to a zombie. In the card artwork of Call of the Haunted, you can see these Greek words written on the gravestones. The first word is pronounced Ko-na-mi, which is obviously in reference to Konami. The second word has no meaning in Greek. However, when typed out on a standard English keyboard with the Greek language selected, the second word results in Hanako. Hanako-san, also known as Hanako of the Toilet, is a Japanese urban legend about a little girl's ghost who haunts school bathrooms, particularly those on the 3rd floor. Her origins are explained in various ways, including her death during a World War II airstrike or being a victim of bullying, murder, or suicide in the restroom. To summon her, one knocks 3 times on the 3rd stall of a school bathroom and says her name. If she answers, a bloody hand appears, dragging the caller into the toilet and to their demise. The Call of the Haunted card appears in the card artworks of the anime-only trap card Downburst from Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds and the anime artwork for the trap card Destruction of Destiny. Bonz and his zombie-filled deck remain one of the creepiest highlights of Duelist Kingdom. Its obsession with death, decay, and the undead was a perfect showcase of Yu-Gi-Oh's darker side, proving even the so-called minor duelists had decks packed with bizarre trivia and iconic moments. But if Bonz's graveyard of monsters wasn't enough to chill you, there was another eliminator whose deck was built purely on fear and intimidation. Panic, the player killer of darkness. Now, you can check out his deck here where I uncover 21 terrifying facts about Panic's Duelist Kingdom deck. I'll see you over there. Till then, take care. Peace, peace.